Let me check you. Sound. Shit. We'll roll out. Just 1 minute. Yvette Jule.
Yvette, hello, darling.
She is incredible. 2 people in the house, and sound is good. Okay. All right. So we have a Mick Rogers redux, Redux. Yeah, we just met. We just had a show a week ago.
Yep.
And it was a phenomenal hour and a half. If anybody hadn't seen that, they ought to go watch it, because it's not too often that we catch our higher self purely for a long period of time, any of us, and it's on camera. So, as the individual goes, so goes the collective. And there was some incredible frequencies coming through in that vibration on that show, which was 99.99% you and 0.01% me, which makes my job easy. All right. So, first of all, welcome back, my brother. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
And before the first show a week ago, or the first show we'd done in a long time, you had a major experience, which you talk about in the show. We don't need to talk about it. About do not fuck up the feng shui, where your son came to you and said, "Do you know what is feng shui?" And he said it to you 3 times, right? Then he talked about not effing it up. So the show itself seemed to carry a tremendous amount of energy, because I've been doing 800 shows, right? And I'm watching this, and I'm watching the energy, and not just that show, but it was like the culmination of these 40 shows that Morgan booked when we were in this place for 12 days. And it's like we turned a corner. Somebody used that term today. Kamara Ford used it today, turned the corner. And so I saw it also happen with me and Morgan. We did a couple of shows and other people doing shows, and it just seemed to be the impetus for all of that. So now you were telling me after that show, you've had a bunch of stuff go down, which I think it has been a high energetic period for people. And one of those things that happened is the same cycle came through and presented itself, and you became the observer. And I asked you, and this was off camera, I asked you what was the result of that, which at the end of the day, at the end of the story, you said it's fucking beautiful. So I don't know where you want to go from there, but it's over to you.
Okay. Well, basically, I'll start there from. Well, actually, I might start somewhere else. I would like to just touch base with everyone on my perspective of what I'm seeing regarding myself and regarding the people around me. Now, there's so much talk about these energies, these high frequencies, these downloads. They're all labels that we try to marry up with what we may or may not really know. So, high frequency vibrations, downloads, extreme energies coming in. And I've been listening to that for a long time. And my understanding, so as I explained in the previous live, which even went back to one of our earliest lives I did with you about my dream, the opportunity, the information, the knowledge, and the understanding. I really feel and see around me now the last key to that puzzle, the understanding, becoming more prevalent in the individual that I'm witnessing around me and in myself, in my individual self, in myself. Now, that then leads to my wife actually asked me last night. She came out with a question. she said, Mick, what does it mean when these people are talking about the collective? And I thought in an instant, oh, I thought you would have known that. And I didn't say that. I said, well, she said, well, I've been listening, you know, Jude and I had an opportunity to listen to your live with Linda Scott. Amazing. And I listened to the live that you did with Ella Ray yesterday, and I listened to that one on my own, and Jude had a little bit of a listen to a part of it. And the collective, I know what the collective what it means, but she didn't quite understand it. So I basically said to her, well, the collective is just a term, a label that we put on as grouping, whether you want to call it a physical manifestation, a gathering of physical beings in the physical term, like, you know, we could have like Morgan used to organise in Adelaide, our little soul gatherings. So, you know, a group of like-minded individuals would come together in the physical and play in the physical and the energetic field that was created in that moment. So it was a collective. It was a more than one.
A conscious collective.
And the
conscious collective. Yeah.
That's the conscious collective in the physical, which was allowing us then to, collect together and share the energetic information, the collectiveness was coming together. People were sharing their gifts, Todd. You know, each and every one of the people that I've met with Morgan's, cheers, bro, take care. Love you, see ya. And each and every person is a unique individual. And each and every person, see, Mike, brings their own flavour to the table. And I've tried to put an analogy to that in a physical form. It's, see you, Mike, have a lovely day. And to describe it in a human form, you know, it's like a banquet table where each and every individual brings their own flavour to the table. Some flavours you might not resonate with so much as others, but at the end of the day, it's a collective. It's a collective that's being presented. It's not an individual. It's not an individual ingredient. It's a collective of ingredients that, when blended together, can create the most unbelievable, outstanding dishes that you could imagine. And that won't happen by being an individual on your own. You know, we need. It's part of our test here, I believe, is that we need to drop the judgment on every possible area that we can even think of regarding anything, to allow the flavours and the ingredients and the gifts, if you want to call it that every single individual has to offer. And we are so prone to doubting our own gifts. I'll put my hand up to that. Yep. Doubting. Then somebody might, you know, say something to you that alleviates that doubt. So that's a little bit of a guide there. But at the end of the day, when we can really drop all the judgment, drop all the doubt, then there's no fear. You know,
Yeah.
I was a little bit nervous again coming on here, and I
Well, you should be.
well
I'm just messing with you.
that
You know
I
what?
know
I want to let's go back. Let's go back to what Jude said about the collective. All
yeah
right. Let's go back there because you got into individuality or the lack thereof,
yep
and there's
yep
polar meanings to that. Um,
yep
so Fiona McLennan, your country mate, she said, "For me, the collective is humanity," and that's the first thing I thought.
yep
And then she said, "Well, then I'll tell you what I thought." After that, we started talking about Morgan's little soul group, right?
yep
And playing in the physical and the energetics, the etherical at the same time. And I
yep
started to think, it only makes sense that, it comes from the universe, comes from ourselves, to thine own self be
yep
true, and then to the
yep
circles closest to you. So that's why I
yep
said that was a conscious collective, y'all's little group,
yeah
at Morgan's. But it does build up to that point. So I'm kind of getting that's part of what's happening is we're starting to consciously come together as little collectives in the collective. And that's ultimately that all those ingredients like you're talking about in a boiling pot
yep
blending together to one beautiful taste, right?
yep
But then you said about individuality and how there is only oneness, basically, is what you were saying. But
yep
another thing, the other part of that is that, as she told me a long time ago, the road to oneness is the path to oneness is through the road of individuality. I mean, our
yep
uniqueness, what you're talking about, our uniqueness, our flavor is at the same time oneness. It's like if we're
exactly
100% ourselves, if you're Mick
yep
and I'm Todd, because you won't be Mick
yep
again and I won't be Todd again. We might be all these other
yep
great divine essences and ass kickers and
yep
archangels and angels and all that. But the more you are that, the more you contribute to oneness. What's your perception on that?
That's exactly my perception on it, and expanding on that a little bit, it is understanding your unique. I'll go back again, we've been so programmed for our beliefs on how to react, our emotional reaction to all these situations, and more now at a absolutely accelerating rate, we are becoming more and more aware that these patterns and beliefs that have been enground into us do not serve our highest good anymore. Where we are at an energetic state in consciousness at the moment, these old patterns and beliefs aren't going to serve us at all anymore. So we've got a transition. We've got an adjustment that's being made, and it scares the fuck out of some people. It really does, and I see that around me now.
Does it scare the fuck out of you?
Not now.
All
Not
right.
now.
I think that's what we're having trouble getting used to. Looking at those other people was just a distraction, right?
And that's right. And I know only from my perspective as an individual on what's happened to me in my life and the people around me has brought me here today to right in this moment right now. So I really feel that I've let go, and it's very recently again, let go of something that has now allowed me to not be surprised. I'm looking at all this stuff change and the energy field and frequency change, and it's actually not scaring me now. The more and more as a collective we are coming together to share our information, which is our gift. You know, you might know something that I know, but you don't know it the way I know it. There's a little bit of difference there. It's a little bit like that old story of Chinese whispers. You know, you tell somebody a story and then they've got to translate that story to somebody else. And by the time it's 100 people down the track, that story's got its own flavour now. It's actually had a bit of flavour added along the way. And that's the way it is. So
let's go back to what you just said, because you just put an energetic, spiritual, cosmic rollout that was pure, high frequency. Let's go back to what precipitated that, the epiphany that was, and that was after the show we did, another cycle that occurred before the previous show appeared to you. We don't have to get into specifics. And you actually embodied what you just said, which is probably at this point in the game an explanation that more people will be able to hear. And just to go back to Fiona, I'm not going to read all of it, but she said, the question for me is to have a contribution to the collective that touches as many diverse hearts as possible, including the ones that seem most closed. And so what I'm seeing is that we've spent our time focusing on them, especially the healers and all that, right? And you did something after the second show in the same situation, and like Morgan says, you made a different choice. Right? So the results of that choice, I think, is what a great explanation would be for us at this stage in the game, because that's as close as a territory we can all be together. You know, I mean, that's the closest to the 0 point. This is what we have in common. How did you feel? What did you see? You said you became the observer, and regardless of the results, you don't have to get into the results, but regardless of the results, would it matter if there had been any other outcome? So go back to the first. What did you feel? What did you observe as the observer? What result did it have, in your opinion, on what occurred after? And did it make any difference to you in the place that you were in?
A situation was presented, and I, due to the information that I was given about, and we won't go into specifics, but due to the information I was presented with, I went into fear mode. I wasn't there in my physical form, so I couldn't assess the situation with my own human eyes. I was only getting fractions of information from other parties regarding this situation that was happening right then and there. And I ended up coming to where the situation was, and I expected the worst. Literally, I expected the worst. And as I came into the situation, I knew that at this moment now, I have a choice on which frequency I was going to enter this situation in. And that was a higher vibrational frequency to what was happening in that situation. I knew what was happening in that situation was an extreme lower vibrational frequency. I knew that. This was the information that I was given. There were people being extremely hurt, not in the physical, but they were hurting themselves by being so tied up with this lower vibrational frequency. Bang, 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 that I knew that the things that we talked about in our last live and the information that I've been receiving and trying to pass on to other people, it was like this, Todd. Here it is. When you know, you cannot unknow.
Yeah. But you embodied,
You can't.
you
That's
embodied it in this situation. And so what was your response? What did you do? What did it feel like? You said you used the word observer, moving into that space. What did it feel like? And what did you see? And what happened?
I felt like I had never felt before. I truly did feel that I was an observer, and all I knew in my heart, in my mind, in my whatever it is that I need to remain in a higher vibrational frequency, no matter what's happening. And I was attacked for it. I was verbally abused there and then on the spot in certain circumstances, and I still remained in that high vibrational frequency. And as a result of that, the situation diffused somewhat. It sort of went into a, well, now I'm trying to explain it, and I'm viewing it as I'm trying to explain it again, because I haven't even tried to explain it because it only happened two days ago. I feel that I was viewing the energy, the low vibrational frequency dispersed, and it was like I was viewing limbo. And I've never, even me saying that now, I've never even thought of it until right now that I've been asked to explain how I felt. I feel now that I was viewing the situation from a low vibrational frequency. I was in a high vibrational frequency, and I viewed the situation turn to basically a limbo state. The lower vibrational frequency had changed. We weren't in that higher vibrational frequency as yet, but it was like I was viewing that there was a choice to be made to raise that vibrational frequency. And as I observed the situation, I observed the frequency change, and I observed it rising. Now, one of the parties wasn't here.
Yeah.
So this is regarding the parties that were here. And, in time, which took all night, the vibrational frequency had changed somewhat, but not so much on one of the parties that was involved. And, I knew myself that I just need to stay in this high vibrational frequency. Instead of feeling sorry for the person that was in the lower vibrational frequency, I fully understood that that beautiful soul was on their own specific individual journey in life, and they were just experiencing that lower vibrational frequency in that now moment, which happened to, in lineage time, be hours or whatever it was. The next morning,
so you were honoring his, her, whoever space.
Yeah.
No matter how close they were to you.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing you were doing for yourself, right? Janie Hodges is backing you up. She says we have to show people how it's done by doing it, and that's really what you did. You embodied it, and I think that's a word I didn't understand for 2 years. You know, I
Yep.
always would ask more, what the hell does that mean? Why are you always saying that? And at different levels, I think I kind of got it, but that's really what it is. It seems simple, but we have all this knowledge now. We've been talking about it on the shows, and it's really a
Yep.
matter of bringing it in. And that's, I don't know, it's such a straight line that it's almost like hard to grasp. That's all we got to do, but that's it. In every moment, be that
And
conscious.
and what you're actually saying, which I'm getting, is this: it is so simple. It is so simple. But we, as human hybrid souls on this planet, have been involved in so much of the lower vibrational, three-dimensional, however you want to call it, patterning for thousands of years or whatever. I don't know, time, whatever.
Just a story. It's just a story now, isn't it?
They're just stories. So it really is. It is so simple. And our test on this planet, this school of life, however you want to put a label on it, is just that. It is actually to understand how simple it is.
Yeah.
And the test is dropping the bullshit that's been ingrained in us for eons. All the patterns, all the beliefs, all the this, all the that, all the this, the judgment that's been ingrained in us for so long. So that is the test, really. It is how quickly do you want to, like, I talked with my son about this, and it is this: when you understand, which I do understand, there's a lot of things, of course, I don't understand, but we're only talking now about energy. I've heard it for so long. It's all about energy. It's all about energy. It's all about energy. Well, guess what? It is all about bloody energy. It is. But when you really understand that there's a line. There's a line here, and a lower vibrational frequency exists below the line. Now, by saying that, how's about this term that we've grown up with? You have now crossed the line. How many times have you heard that in your life? That person has crossed the line. And all that means now, that I've heard that so many times. Oh, he's crossed the line, or she's crossed the line, or they've crossed the line. Well, I understand now, on an energy frequency term, that all that means is they've allowed themselves to drop to a lower vibrational frequency.
Well, I think there's
There you
another
go.
way. There's another way to look at that too, because everything's changed. The context of everything's changing. So maybe crossing the line is now. Put that shit behind you. Cross the line to the other side where you came from. If you want to look at it that way, you know.
Raise the frequency.
Lillian Howard, who was on yesterday, just put up dropping. Oh, wait a minute. Knowledge married with experience equals wisdom. But what I'm getting out of what you were talking about, what you went through after the last show, and what I'm starting to understand is so important. Knowledge married with experience equals wisdom. But in order to have experience, you got to take action. So you have a conscious, no matter how much the human or the ego resists, you stay in that space. And that's all we have to fucking do. We don't have to say anything to anybody. And you saw some results over a period of a couple of days. And you said to me before the show, it was the first time I stayed out of it, basically. I stayed in this place, this higher perspective, this higher aspect of me. Let me ask you something. When you do that, as you've done that, do you talk as much? Do you think we talk as much if we're in that higher perspective? Do we have to tell anybody anything or just hold that space?
De- Definitely, even being asked that question and reflecting on the situation, gee, it's even hard to describe. I'll try to think of it in a way of going back to how I would have dealt with it in another lifetime, if you want to put it. So up until I dealt with it only a few days ago, and I'm learning and trying to adjust to these patterns, and that like everyone is. So maybe and possibly and probably I would have entered that situation with disappointment, which would have manifested into anger, and I would have tried to control that situation with
the old paradigm.
vibration.
This is something we all have. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I want to get back to what worked, because we all have the common denominator of what you're describing. We've all contributed an energy of buying into the bullshit. And so there's a certain, you would think, theoretically, a certain way that energy is going to go or contribute to that overall energy. Now, you embodied what you learned or what you came to, right?
Yeah.
What
you said.
Okay.
Action.
Okay. But so you took the action. What was the result? What was the result? And you took the action as a human with that multidimensional knowledge or whatever. What was the result on the situation? Do you feel that you changed your game? The game changed. Did it or did it not?
Thank you, Todd. I even wrote that down. I even wrote that down somewhere here, because that's exactly what I wanted. One of the things I wanted to talk about was that. And where have I written it down? The game. The game. That's it. The game that we're involved in, there are now new rules.
Yeah.
And that's it. So therefore now we're playing by new rules. We're not playing by the old rules. There are so many people that are still playing by the old rules, and
they don't matter. That's the whole
beautiful.
Hey, Mick, that's the whole new rule. And that's what I think we're having trouble getting used to. The whole new rule is it doesn't matter what the fuck everybody else is doing.
That's it. And when we understand that,
it's hard for us to understand when we hold the higher ground. I hate to even use that term, but when we honor ourselves as a human and allow the human to experience everything like you did, but with the knowledge that has come in, going back to your dream that you brought up on the first show, it's like, how do you sustain that space? Just by conscious effort, not about talking about the other people or worrying about the other people.
No. By putting the word that you just used a minute ago, by putting this knowledge into action. There it is. You know, you're going to put your hand in the fire when you know it's going to burn you. You have to act on that knowledge. Don't put your hand in the fire, otherwise it will burn you. You're not going to kick, and that's what we've been doing for so long. We've been repeating the same patterns over and over and over again when we're having new information coming into us all the time, and we're accruing this information, we're accruing this knowledge, but we're not having the true understanding of the knowledge. And when we have that true understanding of the knowledge, that is the moment when you put that understanding into action.
That's right. And at some point, we got to start speaking in the affirmative. It's not what we do; it's what are we doing now? You know, I mean, and this is a great example. I think it's a great real-time intel example of a situation you went through, which is contrasted by the fact that you went through the same situation before the first show, then you go through the same situation after having a wider awareness after the second show. You took you made a different choice. As an observer, what did you observe in the energy, and that's why I was
Yeah.
getting at,
Yeah.
did it even matter to you what the other energies involved reactions were? Would it have
No.
changed? Would it have changed anything? That place where you've honored yourself because you can hurt no one from that place. And that's why I asked the question, because I'm trying to
Thank
like
you.
equate this into a human, like what we can all understand at the widest level, to Fiona's
Yeah.
point, is,
Yep.
you know, if that was your first or second time or 100th time, I don't know, but in that space
Yeah.
where you've been able to be the observer, did
Yeah.
you talk as much? And I'm not talking about you personally. I
Yep.
think about it
Yep.
myself, and I think I'm getting
Yep.
quieter in some instances. But is
Yep.
that silence spoke to these other energies involved? Did it not? And
Yeah.
did it speak to
Yeah.
you?
I think I believe it did. I believe what you're trying to ask me is what was my feeling and observation as viewing from specifically an energetic point of view. So we're going deep. We're going a lot deeper here, because what we're actually doing is having absolutely no judgment, which will run as deep as the judgment of the physical being. So I would watch the physical being relay this information, relay this, and watch the physical being in a lower vibrational frequency and listen to the lower vibrational frequency bullshit come out of their mouth. But I was I was looking at the human, the physical vessel, as it basically didn't exist, as that was just a vessel that was vibrating at this lower vibrational frequency. So whether it was a family member or somebody I didn't know or whatever, I know now that to really view as an observer, we have to even drop the physical identity, because sometimes that physical identity will come into play on our judgment. And here's an example. When somebody gets upset and they're physically upset, and the next thing that the other person might do is attack them by saying, have a look at yourself. Have a look at yourself. Look at what you're doing. Go and look in the mirror and look at yourself. Well, what we're doing is judging. We're judging what we're viewing. So we're not even judging the energy. We're judging the physical manifestation of what we're viewing with our own eyes. So to look past the consequence of the energetic frequency on how that's operating, and then being transferred to us via physical what we're looking at, I basically found myself viewing as an energy frequency itself, dismissing the physical vessel, um, dismissing the fact that these people were my family and the closest people around me, dismissing all that, and just viewing the energy that was happening. And the result of me staying in the high vibrational frequency, I knew, and I do know, that a higher vibrational frequency will pull a lower vibrational frequency towards it. It will raise it. It might not raise it. It's called planting the seed, even if you want to, if you even want to put it in that.
I want to get back to your experience on, and I know you're holding the higher vibration, but the human part of you, because a lot of people might think, okay, he had this higher vibration level, and he was in Buddha state, all right, but you talked about observing the lower vibrations and the other energies involved. Did
Yep.
in their voice basically, did you hear your own ego? Did you hear your own, hey, you're full of shit, hey, you're just being whatever? Did you hear any of that, or were
No.
you in a state where you didn't hear any of that?
Yeah, I didn't hear any of that. None of it.
Very,
None of it
that's
existed.
very, and
It
has that
was.
happened?
It was.
Has that happened before? Because
No.
that's
No.
incredible.
Not like that.
But I think
Fractals.
I do think that when you do something like that, you're opening the door for other people. There was a comment here. Okay, Morgan, has this understanding changed your external experience? I guess that's another way to put it.
Yeah.
Are
Yes.
you changed now, or is there an
Yeah.
ebb and flow? Are you seeing things in a totally different light?
If I can explain it back to the energy and the frequency, I really feel that my vibrational frequency has risen and is staying in the higher vibrational frequency that I'm in, and the every minute that goes by that I'm aware that I'm in that high vibrational frequency, I understand more that, you know, you brought it up the other day. There's so many there's so many ways to describe it, so many labels to put on it. It is this. You said it, Todd. There's no going back.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
With the information and the knowledge and the understanding of that knowledge, there's no going back. So I feel that what you're trying to ask me if I can explain it, it's that moment, which only happened 2 days ago, was a very big game changer for me. I elected to deal with the situation in a way that I have tried to fractally in the past, and that doesn't work. It's like Linda Scott mentioned in her live with you, Todd, and I watched you change on the spot when you went to question something and she said, no. You have to fully let go without any doubt or judgment or questioning. Mm-hmm. Stop questioning why all these things. So where I am now is that I've moved to a high vibrational frequency. This isn't blowing a horn or anything like this. It's an explanation of where I am as an individual, and I know that transferring this information that we're doing right now, I already know. I already knew before. You know, I couldn't wait to talk to you about this, to let people know what's happened to me as an individual, which I know then will resonate with so many other people in their little situations that will help them. So back to the collective. We are again, getting in contact, weaving in through the feng shui, the fabric of consciousness, this new information that each and every one of us holds, and we're connecting with everyone. Some people might already know it. If I talk to the Dalai Lama about what I'm talking about now, well, he would already know all this information. So I as an individual, being part of the collective, find it beautiful that I've got the opportunity to relay information, situations, actual just stories
Mm-hmm.
what's happening on my journey, and that resonating.
How that's, I mean, the fact that you did what you did, to me, carries more weight than anything you could actually say. That's what I'm getting at. So I had two
Yeah.
follow-up questions here. How does that change your relationship? And two, how does it change you as a human? Because that's what I'm getting back to, is what
Yep.
you said. What was your dream? What was your dream? The acronym?
Yep. I had the I had an energy wheel.
What is the acronym for that?
OIKU.
Knowledge.
O
Okay.
OIKU.
And it stands for what?
Opportunity, information, knowledge, and understanding.
Okay. And so the knowledge we've established, or the wisdom, comes
Yep.
from the action,
Yep.
the experience, which comes from the action, which brings the understanding.
Yep.
Now, as a human being, the human is the fucking hero. Well, the human
Yep.
has to, the human, what has changed in you? Do you feel like it's a wholesale change? Do you feel like you feel like the chatterbox in your head shut down? What has it meant to you? Not, you know what I mean? What's happened to you? How would you describe it? I know it's only been a few days, and we've had two in a row, right?
Yep.
And
I think what's happened is that I've basically come to that understanding that as humans, we have this vessel that we are in, this manifestation of atoms and molecules, which contains our soul, our energy, our chi, our whatever label you want to put on it, the fractal of consciousness itself. So how it's changed me as a physical human being, nobody's going to be able to see that as looking at me unless they're looking at my energy, where I know people can look at me and they'll say, fuck, Mick, what's going on? Your energy's changed. Well, they're looking past my physical vessel and they're seeing my aura, my energy field, or whatever. And guess what? It has fucking changed. It has risen now. And so as a human's perspective, I'm sort of not even looking at it as that now. I'm still trying to, I'm still viewing it as energy, and that the vessel that we are in carries that energy. So if somebody wants to put a label on, have I changed as a human? Well, when they see the actions that I am now taking on my journey in life, they would possibly say, fuck, Mick, you've changed. You've changed. When my physical body hasn't changed. Well, actually, it will change. It will change on a molecular level, because as we raise our vibrational frequency and have all that understanding, we as humans aren't supposed to be sick. We're sick because of all the fucking shit we've done to ourselves for eons and eons, and the low vibrational frequency, which has enabled the physical body to become sick. So as we raise that vibrational frequency, our physical bodies will repair. So
that
it
makes
might
sense.
take a long.
That makes sense. But how did you feel? Do you actually feel a higher degree of love for these
Yeah,
energies involved, for other
yeah,
people, for you,
yeah,
for yourself?
yeah,
What did that feel like? Did your heart expand? Did your heart
yeah,
start beating fast? I mean, this is what we're all experiencing together. All these thoughts and everything that
yeah,
we have, there is a lot of
yeah,
difference. But what we feel as humans, that's what we have.
yeah,
That's what we're trying to get in touch with. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it makes sense to me that everything changes energetically, DNA, all that stuff, but
yeah.
it comes from the human itself embodying it like you did, taking action. Have you seen a difference in I know it hasn't been just a couple of days, but do you feel a difference in your relationships, how you approach relationships, you know? I mean,
Absolutely. So now what I'm doing right now is waiting for opportunities. You know, waiting for the opportunity. You know, I know my wife Jude. She's been in the thick of it over the last few days of what's been happening, and I know, you know, I stood back and I viewed what I was seeing in the energy around her, which was being transmuted through her physical presence, and instead of looking at first, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? All the things we talk about, all the knowledge that we're accruing, and I'm looking at you reacting in the way that you do with the information that you hold. That was the first moment of where I started to let myself go, and then I pulled back away from that because I felt it was a lower vibrational frequency to even question where she was. Who is it my place to question where anybody else is on their journey in this life? That's the thing, the biggest thing that I've probably learnt in the last couple of days. To truly have no judgment on where another individual is. The closest person to me, my wife, my kids, my friends, the closest, the ripple effect and outwards from the physical manifestation of the vessels that interact with each other, and then to us. We're not physically talking with each other, but we are, and we're energetically talking to each other. The judgment, all that sort of stuff in the last couple of days, that's where I felt the change in me, to really understand that I was put to a test. This little situation, this little opportunity came up to test me. It was a fucking big test. It was the biggest test probably I've ever had in my life. And within a matter of a day, things are right now, in this moment now, absolutely so beautiful.
Yeah. So you've seen the results
of putting into action.
Yeah. And you're looking at, I mean, really, to even say it's a lower vibration. I mean, the fact is, like you said, everybody's in a different place. There is no difference or separation in the spectrum of that. And so basically it's just a vibration that you were not allowing to penetrate your energy field. You were holding your field.
And listening to the live that you had with Linda, she pushed it, what a beautiful soul that she is, transferring this information from the vessel that she is, connecting us with information that she's got, which gives us knowledge, and with that knowledge we'll create understanding, sometimes on the spot, sometimes instantaneously, but that understanding of that of the frequency field itself. And this is what I keep going back to. I keep stripping all the other bullshit away, the physical stuff and everything, and just go back to the energy. The higher vibrational energy field will attract a lower vibration. There is that line. There's that thing again. You've crossed the line. All you've done is enter into a lower vibrational frequency. Now, how long do you want to...
Are you saying that a higher vibrational energy will transform a lower vibrational energy?
It will always want to pull it towards itself.
Yeah.
And that's what a high vibrational frequency does. It will attract the lower vibrational frequency. Now, then it's up to the individual on how long do they want to stay in that lower vibrational frequency? Now, that depends on how strong the patterns are that have been created in that individual's life, to how hard it will be for them to raise their vibrational frequency. So if I put it in a graph, here's the line. You're in a high, I'm happy, yeah. Now, somebody comes up to me and says, oh, hi, Mick. And I go, fuck off. Well, in an instant, I've allowed myself to drop into a lower vibrational frequency. Now, that person then might say, oh, why did you talk to me like that? And then I could punch them in the head. Well, I've entered into an even lower vibrational frequency. And then it could, and then it can just go, how deep do you want to go? I'll go get a gun.
Or you could just hold the space that you held, right? You could just hold the space that you held.
But what I'm trying to get, that's me now. So when I now can look at, okay, we'll go to an extremely dense lower vibrational frequency. Pedophiles, child molesters, all that kind of stuff. To me, as viewing an energy frequency, my perspective on that is an extremely low vibrational frequency. Now, these people, God bless them, every single one of them, that are in that vibrational frequency may always be in that vibrational frequency on their journey here. Now, instead of me in the past judging that vibrational frequency and wanting to wipe it out, there were times in my life that I started to enter into that vibrational frequency of how can I wipe these people out that are doing these things. And then I've come to the understanding that all I'm doing is I'm actually allowing my vibrational frequency to drop to a level where I'll be able to wipe somebody else out. What was I thinking?
But we know that. And there's a great comment right here. We know that. It's the story. I'm done with the story. I don't know about you. I love the example that you set, and I love the fact that you stepped up to tell this story, both segments of it. Heather Nielsen, I have found that when I change in some way by being more loving, practicing non-judgmental, the people around me change. So
lovely, Heather. Lovely.
But that's really where we're at here. You know, your acronym.
Heather,
your acronym,
So
it's the action. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. There's a drag. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's good. So what Heather just did then was gave us just then a little bit of information on how she feels, where she is on her unique individual journey in life.
Yeah.
So she is noticing that when she operates in a higher vibrational frequency, that she is attracting the lower vibrational frequencies around her to raise their vibrational frequency. And do you know what? Some people won't. And some people have to get the fuck out of your energy field.
That's right. Some people don't matter. All right. What matters is what she said, you know, I mean, and and sometimes we got to walk away. We're honoring ourselves here. You know, I'm just saying the more we look, we know what we've been through. We know we have that awareness now.
Yeah.
And it's really a conscious action. That's what I loved about that group you're talking about with Morgan. We're talking about the collective. These were a conscious collective, and we are becoming a conscious collective one by one. And we do that in these little scenarios like you've had. And we've all had. I've had 2 or 3 of them in the last few days. I'm not saying
Todd, you've had thousands of them of what I've seen in your journey to where you are right now. How, you know, I feel just so honoured and blessed that I've been part of watching what's been going on in your life, and how things have changed in your life, how things have changed in, you know, I met Morgan before I met you, as I explained in the last live. You know, I came in contact with Morgan through me trying to track information down regarding health issues, which led me into spiritual stuff and all that sort of stuff. And then we met, we connected, we spent a lot of time, you know, in the little soul gathering groups and transferring information. And then she mentioned you, and then I thought I'll check out what you're doing, and fast forward to where we are right now. The stories, the people that I've seen be involved in the Soulogy platform, on the Soulogy train. I keep thinking of that. We are on the Soulogy train. Choo choo. and we're on it. And when we're not getting off it. It's like there's no turning back. We're on the ride, and to me, more and more carriages are being added to the train, more and more flavors and more ingredients are being added to the mix, and so here we go back to that game. There's new rules. We're aware of some of the new rules, so we're playing the game now with different rules. The gathering of like-minded frequencies as individuals, you know, adding to that recipe of life, the weaving the connections, you know, the longer. So it really boils down to that thing about how long, when a situation comes up, no matter what it is, we have an opportunity there and then to make a decision. How long do we, if we go into a lower vibration, or we have the chance there and then to make a decision? How long are we going to allow ourselves to stay in that lower vibration? And
Zero.
It can change in a nanosecond.
Yeah.
Exactly that.
Yeah. Zero. Some of them might take a little bit longer. Well, that I like that Soul Train analogy. So you're this is your shift in the locomotive. You're the engineer. So we're expecting to see you do a song or a dance in the shower today.
I think I've got one. I think I've got one in the pipeline there.
Well, let's close it out with that. Let's see what you got.
Oh no! I'll have to post it. I'll have to post it for you.
No, you got to do it live. Man. You got to do it live. You got to put your ass out
there. Let me find something quickly before we go.
Yes. Mick Rogers' light language coming up.
Gee, I'm moving around. Let me just... Actually, it's not going to be a song, but it will be. Let me find... This is a poem that I wrote. This is a poem that I wrote basically 10 years ago when I was in a pretty dark state. So it actually has. I'll do two.
All right.
Because this was regarding a vision that I had about a timeline, and it came to me looking out the kitchen window at the backyard, and I saw an old black and white film footage running along the fence and across the yard, and it stopped in the middle of an archway that there were some trees, and I saw a vision of a spirit in light, And then the film strip that went to the light and to this apparition was my life. It was going very, 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 very fast, and it was all jumbled up and very, very hard to understand. But as the film came out the other side of the apparition, the light, it had slowed down and it was blank. So in that moment, I had a realization. Now, this is 10 years ago now. In that moment, I had a realization that I was viewing my life, and that I had in that moment an understanding that the film that was coming out the other side, that was blank, would be whatever I created. Now, even back then, 10 years ago, I didn't even understand it. I really didn't understand it, but I thought I did. And you know exactly what I'm talking about.
So when did you write the poem?
Basically then.
Okay, let's hear it. Let's see where you were at. Let's hear it. Sounds good.
See thus divine, momentary suspension in time, relaxed and alert, crops grow from this dirt, casting eye, panoramic view, situations in life, the old and the new, manoeuvring now as pond waters clear, reflexes refined, this dragon once feared. With strength and courage, now weapons of choice, a heart filled with spirit and time to rejoice. Bread the body, blood the wine, with purest intention, the choice is now mine.
Very cool. Very cool. What's the other one?
Now, the other one, which was actually was a bit dark. It was dark. It was where I was at that time, but it relates to the Soulogy train. So this was 10 years ago, Todd, I wrote this. I see no sunshine. I feel no rain. Torn and twisted, emotional pain. Blackness of night, silence, no sound. The way to these feelings, oh, what have I found? Bathe me with your love and light. Wash away the pain. Fill my heart and soul with love to make me whole again. Station platform broken heart, tell me, am I sane? Is that light down yonder track? Are you on that train?
Damn.
Damn.
Damn it. And you said yonder. You said
Yep.
yonder, and you're from Australia. They don't say yonder down there.
No, they don't.
Hey, man, I enjoyed it. Let's do it again soon. Stay in the high vibration.
Love to everyone that's been listening and who will listen and who will resonate with what we've been talking about. It's absolutely beautiful.
Absolutely. You take care. Best to you and Jude and all your family. I'll see you soon. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Full day tomorrow.
Thanks, Morgan. Thanks, Todd. Thanks.